Hello, good day. Welcome to another episode of Hard Question with me, Ata, the host of this program. I have two guest speakers over here, Sayyid Summer, a pharmacist from Australia, and now a teacher of Quranic science at the Islamic House of Qom, and Sayyid Hadi. Let me read out Human Development and Family Sciences. You're a graduate. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation. Sayyid Hadi, welcome.
Thank you.
And Sayyid Summer, assalamu alaikum. Welcome.
Thank you. Alaikum salam.
Another hard question for today's episode in the program, Hard Question. Okay. I don't promise to be a hard question. I got answers from you. But now we want to talk about the dual loyalty. What is the duty of a Muslim residing in America on the days of war with Islamic Republic of Iran? So, Sayyid Hadi, let's start with you. So, in the recent imposed war against Islamic Republic of Iran, which is called Ramadan War, we have seen so many people, non-Iranian, non-Muslims, defending Islamic Republic of Iran out of Iran. Still, there were some people who were against Islamic Republic of Iran. They defended the war against Islamic Republic of Iran. And who is who? Now we're gonna discuss this topic. So who is who?
So we do to make a distinction. Like this war, actually, it invigorated the youth of Iran to be more in support of the revolution, which they always were. It now came to them, to their generation. So it made it more lively. And those who were present during the time of the initial inception of the Islamic Revolution became twice as more invigorated because it brought everything back to the core principles and all the values and all the achievements that they've made. But then now you're seeing in the West, you're seeing like a huge flip. It used to not have, or at least the West wouldn't have a narrative that was pro-Iran, or they always see it as they use the word regime or something. They never recognize Islamic Republic or Islamic government.
Ayatollah.
But even it hasn't fully gotten to that state, they still take the side that this is an unjust war against a country that did literally nothing to America. And people are waking up to that.
And accurate statistics show that the official organizations, even the U.S., said that Iran was no imminent threat to the U.S., especially in the recent war.
For instance, like the Strait of Hormuz was open the whole time.
Yes.
And now, because of the reckless actions of the Trump administration, it's now blocked or under severe security.
And how generous the administration of Iran was during all these 100 years, of keeping it open to the world to come and go, all this transit, all transit fertilizers coming, going. And so how generous were the people of Iran and the Iranian governments? And one political analyst has said that we put Iran under 47 years of sanctions, and now it's about 3 months. Iran has sanctioned Strait of Hormuz, and they cannot bear it.
True. Yeah, it's a very short time now that they've closed the Strait of Hormuz. That it's become very difficult for those in the West. But back to your question with regards to
your loyalty.
Your loyalty as a Muslim living in America, and I think we can broaden that question out to the people in the West.
That's right.
And by West, this is not a geographical issue either. It could also be those who have a Western mentality or worldview who are living in Islamic countries.
Very good.
Right? So that could also mean the West.
So it's not region-based?
Not regional-based, There are people even in the Islamic Republic of Iran who have a Western outlook.
West-toxification, we call it.
Exactly, yes. West-toxification.
West-toxification.
That one.
Okay. Westernized.
So these westernized ideologies have crept in to the mind of the Muslim, right? And so what do we do about it? We have to first address the issue.
Yes.
But then there are others, and I guess perhaps that's who we're talking about, the Muslim who understands the Islamic values and are living in the West. What's their duty in these times? If that's what we're trying to hone in on, then there's a lot of work that we have to do.
I'm just drawing the line. Is this war with Iran as a political system, or no, with Islam in general?
Well, ultimately, the West has a problem with Shia Islam, right? The Shia brand of Islam. They don't so much have a problem with other branch of or denominations of Islam. And there's a particular reason for that. And the reason are these three items. Number one, the Marja'iyat. Number two, the Arba'in. And number three, the Mahdawiyat. Now, For those who know what those are, they
Yes.
know what it is,
Okay.
right? The Marja'iyat and the Arba'in and the Mahdawiyat, the importance of it. And in the last episode, we talked about martyrdom and the Shia school of thought and
The
that.
cultural martyrdom.
So when someone is of that ideology and has those three with them, this Epstein class of people are scared of them,
Very good.
right?
Right.
Now, they may attack other countries for their resources. That's one thing, right? But when they're talking about Shia Islam, they're not just attacking for resources here. That perhaps is a goal that they have. But the ultimate fear they have is their values, their principles, and the fact they're prepared to do everything in their power for justice
Very good.
and to overturn tyranny.
The value system you are drawing is really important. I mean, some people might say that the war of America against Islamic Republic of Iran was not for the resources. It was for this value system. The value system that endangers a class of the societies all across the world that are after satanic temptations, Epstein type of class, the files over there. So you have to take a look at it as in a broader picture. I mean, it is not something like that. For example, Iran and America are at war. And I could very remember the late Imam Khomeini called America the great Satan, okay? So if your enemy is the great Satan, so those people who are opposing it has to be of a movement which are not region-based or language-based, ethnicity-based, color-based. Now, the question is that Iran could be the forerunner. I mean, the people who are in the front lines of the war against America, against Zio-American forces. They are the symbol of the resistance against something else behind all these nationality, this flag and that flag. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if one looks at it at just that surface level of just two countries at war with each other, it's a matter of political interests or economic interests, then they're not seeing the full picture.
Okay.
From the Islamic perspective, we understand things at the Quranic level. Allah wants His divine power culture established on earth,
Very
which
good.
is solely based on justice, His mercy and justice. Now, if you look at the way the world was shaped prior to this war, let's say prior to October 7th, let's say, we had, we would say, a world that was created based on kufr and shirk, systemic. So we're talking about kufr, we're talking about God denial. We're talking about shirk, we're talking about the attribution of power and authority to something or someone or system other than Allah.
That's right.
So you could say the world was shaped in the anti-Quran frame.
Anti-Tawhidi. or
Anti-Tawhidi.
That's right.
So,
okay.
so that's why, for instance, like you see the world as we're told we have north, south, east, and west, right?
Yes.
But Allah says He is the sustainer of the two easts and the two wests. So Allah is not telling you to look at the world like
Rabbul
this. He's
Mashriqain wal Maghribain.
telling you to look
That's
at it
right.
like this.
That's right.
But we're taught otherwise,
Right.
right? By these imperialistic, godless powers who only thought about themselves. And they shape the world in the image of something anti-Quran.
Very good.
The Islamic Republic of Iran stands as the movement to reverse things. So reverse things back to that Quranic structure. How? And I'll give you an example. Just from the words of Imam Khomeini rahmatullahi alayh. He was told, you are taking Iran back like 300, 400 years. And he responded very eloquently by saying, I'm trying to take everything back to 1400 years ago, to the time of Rasulullah.
Very good.
So this is a reverse. So you're not seeing something as just a clash of countries or a clash of interests. You're seeing a clash of civilizations.
So such distorted picture is even put in the minds of the Muslims. I mean, when you are giving it back to the time of Prophet, the pure Muhammadan Islam, now think to yourself, what happened to the true original form of Islam now during all these years? That, for example, in 1979, a political man from Iran will come and say that, look, listen, this is the original Islam we are talking about. This is, for example, acting against tyranny and oppression all across the world. What happened to the Islam? I mean, very much reminding me of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, okay? So through his blood and martyrdom, he could just said, listen, this is not Muhammadan Islam you're after. So the armies, the people that you are following as Muslim leaders are not Muslim. This is the true Muhammadan Islam. The late Imam Khomeini too, Shahid Rahbar too, okay, the martyr leader Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khamenei too, again, they have always emphasized that the true value system inside the religion of Islam are enumerated in this way: resistance, sacrifice, acting against oppression, all the lists. The list that we cannot see in the Western world now. Sayyid.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of things that you've just opened up here. And as someone who's come up and grown up in the West, I think some of the things that you've mentioned could be problematic here.
Yes.
For example, you mentioned that we're trying to go back to the pure Muhammadan Islam. Well, somebody watching this will say, hang on a minute, that was 1400 years ago. You're way out of date. The world is modernized, the world has changed.
Okay.
When you mention about justice, these things all have to be opened up and discussed. When you're talking about justice, what about the justice, for women? For, the case that Islam oppresses women? What about the inheritance? There's a problem where the West sees that women don't get the inheritance that
as equal as men, that's right.
As equals, right, with men. So they see the Islam as being unjust. They see Islam as being backwards. They see Islam as being something that has been, maybe it came 400 years ago. That's great, wonderful.
Such an Orientalist look, say it.
Yeah, well, look, it's at the end of the day, it's 1400 years old. We're 2026. So when you're saying all these things, I think we're gonna have to sort of look at each of those words and sort of explain or try to somehow justify it. So, for example, how would you say, okay, you're saying that we want to have a just system. How do you justify even saying something like that for an audience who comes from the West? So let's go with that.
Okay.
Well, it depends on the audience. Like if we're talking, and I would, as a Muslim, I would focus on the Muslim population, have them think about what they've inherited. How much of the Quran do they understand? How much of it do they understand of their history? Where it comes from? This is Islam they got.
Well, the answer is that this doesn't matter and it doesn't relate to me today. I'm just gonna play the devil's advocate here, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna just kind of play the devil's advocate here. I'm living in America right now.
Okay.
I see the justice in America, and I think that this is the way it should be. Everybody gets treated equally, whether you're a man or a woman, you get paid equally. Why should I go back to a system where the woman is, for example, stuck in the house and the husband has to give her the permission to leave, and she's not allowed to work and all of those things? She's veiled, for example.
Is it so? I mean, when you look at the reality, for example, Islamic Republic of Iran, the ladies are paid the same as men are.
Are they?
They are. They are. They are paid. We know that the wages in the United States of America are not paid the same. Is it so? For example, all these Hollywood actresses, every year at the Oscar ceremony or after, okay, same wages, same payment, this and that. So many of the actors of the Hollywood say that, okay, we want to be paid so that the justice is somehow observed. But Islamic Republic of Iran, you could find the entries of the universities of the ladies. You could the work share over there. The work laborers are, we can say, even up to an extent that some men say that's enough. So, I mean, and as a Muslim,
from the Western point of view,
okay,
the message I'll give you from the West is that, for example, women aren't allowed to go to universities. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to go to schools.
But
they have
the
to seek permission.
statistics show something else. Say it. That 60% every year of the universities in Islamic Republic of Iran are the ladies. Special occasions for the ladies themselves, for example, in terms of the medication, gynecologists, this and that, are the ladies. So specific fields of studies that the ladies are expert in, God go and study up to PhD level, university professor, even in terms of the hard works. I mean, I'm not talking about the soft work. I'm talking about real hard works. Ladies have a big share in Islamic Republic of Iran. This is the distorted picture I want to say the Western world has given us about the world itself, and somehow the Muslim lands believe it themselves. As Professor Edward Said in his work Orientalism has said that a kind of barbaric wild picture of the Arab-Muslim world is given to the West, something that the Arabs themselves believed in that, and they consider as the real picture of themselves. So now they say, okay, West one are the supremacists, they have the superpower, we are nothing, we don't want independence, we don't want to get to them, we cannot, and we don't have the power. So this is, I think, the picture that is made in the minds of the some parts Muslim Eastern part of the world. The case is when it comes to Iran now. Iran is an exception. So who believes that Iran can answer the strikes of America by counter strikes through the missile defense system? Nobody could believe that. Who could say that the Navy of Iran has got the control and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, okay?
It's very simple. The more people believe in a lie, they'll make it a reality. And they'll try to, even the enemy will go as far as not only making this lie, doing what they can to make it true to some degree. And that is what they get fooled by. Like, as you just said, they'll think like on the West, they'll have one image of Islam. Then in our regions, they'll fool people into believing in that is true by creating like or introducing certain cultures. Like the Islamic culture versus like a country's culture is two different things.
Very good.
What Allah expects from us is different than what we have in our own cultures. Culture is not a bad thing, so long as it doesn't conflict with Islamic teachings. So, but this is where the enemy plays. Like, for instance, like you'll have in a Muslim country, not even to name one, but just you'll find that, let's say women are seen less than men. Or they're just at home, or just like that. They have no social responsibility. Like, look at the Quran. When Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who are securely committed to Allah, this encompasses both men and women. This is not an eye only for men. Even when we say innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, the committed Muslims are brothers. Like on the survey they say brothers. But we could even say that they are siblings. Because yes, I mean inherently the every word means brothers, but it has implications too. The sisters are also sisters to each other.
The true picture that Islam gives about a lady is not a lady working out, say it. As a mother, as a spouse, as a wife, This is the ideal type of picture that Islam has given about a lady. So, I mean, they want to change this stereotype into what the Western lady is like.
But not everybody agrees with that. And this is a problem. Not everybody agrees that the ideal for a woman is...
I mean, naturally, biologically speaking.
Okay. And here again, if we're living in the West, this concept of being natural is also being stripped away. Where they educate children, and I think you would know that, Sayyid Hadi, more than I do, because you're in sort of family science and the like, where they actually strip the self-evident from a child. Their gender is stripped away from them. They don't even know if they're boys or girls anymore. They may be physically a boy, but they start to think they may be mentally a girl, or vice versa.
Well, here's the thing I want to point out. In America, it's not just they just start thinking that way. They're influenced that way. You have teachers in public schools who come to these kids and tell them like, they'll tell like a boy, do you feel like a little bit like girlish sometimes, or you probably do have interest in wearing a dress.
Have you ever thought about
they put this seed in their heads. It's all systemic. And then this child goes home and they'll say like, oh, my parents said, or like my teacher said this, and then
they've planted the seed.
And then the parents who are more like, let's say, conservative, or they're very like traditional, they'll be like, oh, what is this? This is wrong. They'll complain. And then what happens is, and this has happened a lot, the schools or the teachers who are then questioned about this, they start building a case that, oh, the child's being oppressed at home. So what happens? They call social services, they make that case, and the child is taken. So this happens so much.
They sue their parents.
They sue the parents.
They sue the parents, exactly. So the parents...
In Australia, there's jail time. If, for example, a sheikh or a parent or a teacher says to a child who says, for example, I feel like the opposite gender or whatever, there's jail time for that. You're not allowed to say to them, look, we don't have that in our religion. We don't have that in our tradition. We don't have that. Maybe let's give it time. No, you're not allowed to even say that this is wrong. And this is problematic. And I think it goes back that if we strip the self-evident from a child, from childhood, then we are trying to say that the Holy Quran, for example, is trying to teach justice. We've stripped the self-evident from the very beginning. How are we going to get to this part?
Getting back to my first question, because somehow I think we got
distracted.
Yeah,
sorry
from the main question. Now this duality seems to be living with a person, especially a Muslim who is living in a non-Islamic land.
Yes.
So, and it influences all the decisions that are made by those people over there, whether political, whether it could be financial, even in terms of the family relations. So really, really difficult times for a person, an immigrant as a Muslim who have left the country, an Islamic land, for a non-Muslim one living over there. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the challenges of a person over there. And is it inevitable? I mean, can't they do something? For example, getting back to their own countries?
Okay, so this is a question for
Okay,
me.
this is a question for you.
Okay.
A hard question for you.
So ultimately, yes, there is this cognitive dissonance that happens. That the people who, for example, are Muslim and practicing Islam and read the Holy Quran, and they see ayahs like, don't be loyal to the kuffar or to the Ahl al-Kitab, to the people of the book, because ultimately you will be, the losers, or you will leave your religion. Yes. They will influence you. There's all these ayahs in there, and they read it. So, but they're living there. They, like you said, they've either migrated there, or as a result of their parents' migration, they live there now. So there's this thing in their mind that's going. It's like, okay, what do I do? If they don't deal with this, they will feel pain, physical pain, not just psychological. So they have to deal with it. The correct thing to do is actually to do something about it, right? What do I mean by do something about it? It means they have to realize that what they're doing now is against the teachings of the Holy Quran, for example, and they have to categorize themselves. I'm either mustad'af, I'm abased, or I can do something about it, or I can do something about it, but I choose not to. Okay, this is a different discussion that we can have about migration.
Some of them changing to kind of justification.
They justify. That's the only way they can resolve it. Okay. If they don't act on it, they have to justify. Otherwise, they will get sick. Mm-hmm. I'm living here and I'm going to be, for example, I don't know, fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, I'm going to be doing this, and that. Okay. I'm the representative of Allah on this land. Mm-hmm. I was born here.
Part of what causes this is this issue of assimilation. Mm-hmm. Like post 9/11, you had Muslims who were scared of being persecuted because what? They automatically blame Muslims for 9/11. So what happened was they used this opportunity, the enemy used this opportunity to get Muslims to kind of assimilate by doing what? They had let's say the liberal side become more receptive of anybody, right? They're like, oh, we're Muslims, like, you're free to live, like, with us. So Muslims, that fear of persecution, they started assimilating with the side that was more friendly to them. Mm-hmm. But then he was the trap. Mm-hmm. What happened was, not only did you become a part of the liberal side more, but what also came into your communities? The LGBT, exactly.
Yeah, because they accept anybody and everybody.
So now what? You have like even demonstrations.
Not that there's
even endorsed by Muslims.
I have to clarify something here. When we're talking about the LGBT here, with regards
LGBTQ
to
plus,
the Islamic perspective, that's a whole topic that we need to talk about, right? And the rules. So we're just going to leave that aside because the audience may.
So I mean, the cultural norms and the values sometimes are preferred over your religious values. And because you are living by that system, you have to abide by the rules.
By the Western rules.
By the Western
The governments who are non-Islamic, who are...
So now what's the duty of a Muslim or a Muslimah now? I mean, you can live there. You can get back to your Islamic land. Of course, you can say Satan is everywhere, okay? And the satanic temptations are at work, for example, in Islamic lands too. But in terms of not working for a cruel or a ruler or a system, then the justification is out of your hand. You can get back.
Sorry, the first question that they have to ask themselves is, why are they there in the first place? Mm-hmm. If they can answer that question, we can move on. Why have the people from Afghanistan moved to America or the Western countries? Why have the people from Iraq moved to the UK and Canada? Why are they there? Mm-hmm. Isn't it because of what the Western powers have done to their countries that they had to migrate for safety?
Some part of it is because of the utopian type of thing that the Western world has made out of the Western.
Believe me, nobody would have left their country because of this utopian ideology. Even Saddam Hussein in Iraq, right? A puppet installed by the West. Okay. Why did the Shia population move from Iraq? Because they were being persecuted. Who put Saddam Hussein there? The West. Mm-hmm. So they had to leave Iraq, people who would never have thought of leaving their countries. Why are the people of Afghanistan leaving and fleeing their countries? Why are the people of Sudan? Why are the people? All these people are leaving because of Western powers absolutely destroying these countries. So they flee for.
So whether through their norm system, I mean the value system that they're creating in the minds of the people, so migrate to have a better life over here, isn't it?
Why are they
As an
migrating?
ideal system,
Why are they
or
migrating for
through
a
their
better life?
puppets?
Why are they migrating for a better life? Because bombs are falling on these countries.
Mm-hmm.
They're being persecuted by puppets installed by the West. Saddam Hussein was a puppet, right? People want to leave, for example, even in Islamic Republic of Iran is different. People are coming back into Iran
The reverse
during
migration is taking place.
SubhanAllah, they're amazing
Of course,
people.
as an Iranian, I disagree because we got this diaspora of the Iranians.
There is a diaspora, yes, yes.
Out of Islamic Republic.
We'll get
of
to
Iran.
those people.
Okay, we'll go
We'll
to
get
that
to those
too.
people.
Okay.
But ultimately, the reason why they leave these countries is because of what the West is doing to them over there. They're leaving because they want a better life for their children, better education.
Okay.
Why? Because there they can't get education because the West is bombing them.
Something behind all these realities is taking place. And this is what I don't understand. You too, for example, over here in Islamic Republic of Iran, as a non-Iranian, migrate over here. At the same time, we see so many Iranians leave the country for the West. So the value system we are talking about must be different. I mean, something is pursued by the non-Iranians over here. They find it here as an ideal. For example, they're after, I don't know, maybe an ideal Islamic system or something. The values that were original or close to the original one. Now they're after that, they migrate to Iran in order to, I don't know, even some of them maybe like the children to be born inside Islamic Republic of Iran. But at the same time, so many Muslims migrate to the Western world for their system. So how to solve it, I mean?
Well, there's solving it is
This
one
contradiction.
thing, but understanding like the
Yeah.
reason why people
Yes.
did their migration is important. Some wanted that. They wanted to, if they're migrating from the West and coming here, they want to live in a more Islamic environment. They want to have the best opportunity for their kid to be raised in the culture of Islam or a country that has at least the closest to that kind of culture that can preserve that.
And it's
part
not
of their
perfect.
deen.
You said something very important. It's as closest as possible.
Yes,
It's not a
closest, that's
perfect
right.
system. There's
Exactly.
issues. with
Nothing
it.
is ideal. That's right. Okay.
But it's in the right trajectory.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I
Okay.
believe.
Yes.
So, but then, like, that's one reason. The other reason is they just don't like the West at all, like anymore. Like maybe they've tried it out. Maybe you're from years ago. Let's
had
say
enough, that's right.
they had tried it, or they're coming back because the circumstances weren't able to get an education before the Islamic Revolution. So that was just the means to go to the West. Yeah, it was, as Sayyid Samar said, they were, because of what was happening, because of the installed puppet, like the Shah, caused them to have to go all the way out there. But after they've, gotten their education, a lot of them came back. A lot of famous people came back. But some who they stay. Why? They stayed over there because
It's comfortable.
it's more comfortable. It's a convenient
the end of the day, it's comfortable.
life. And that's all it is. But
Is it more comfortable? Because when I talk to those people who have reverse migration, especially to Islamic Republic of Iran, they say that life conditions over here are easier than the West.
From what point of view?
I mean, financially speaking, in terms of the expenditure, in terms of the gas prices, in terms of everything, they have a better life over here.
Look, I did a calculation.
Sorry to say that. Maybe as an Iranian or as an Afghan, as an Iraqi, as an Arab living in the Arab countries, eastern part of the world, even as a Chinese or something like that, they have made this picture for you that always be dissatisfied, unhappy with your conditions, and move to the U.S. or the West, so we
Yes.
can provide you with a better life. And when you go there, and you see that no, the reality is something else. Okay, the reality of the world is something else. I mean, paying taxes, high prices, rents. Even you can now watch football for free on the television. Okay? I mean, all these cases. But when you get back to your country and you compare it, I mean, this comparison type of scale is not given to the people unless they migrate over there and they have reverse migration.
we have to distinguish what freedom they're looking for.
Uh-huh.
If you want freedom where you can do whatever you want,
Okay.
I mean, this artificial freedom,
Okay.
that you can get that in the West. Everything you want is available. But if you want freedom from a toxic lifestyle, Yeah, you would turn more towards the Islamic, like, not just the Islamic Republic of Iran, but you just turn to a place that will allow you to have that kind of freedom to express your religion, freedom where you won't be persecuted. But that freedom in the West, it's false. It's that kind of freedom that makes you think you're free, but you actually are imprisoned. Imprisoned in what? Materialism.
Materialism, that's right. In yourself.
Yeah.
You feel this kind of a spiritual vacancy at the end of the day, and because of that, say, okay, I want Eastern taste in my life. But it could be achieved through a religion, or it could be a spirituality or something like that. Even sports like yoga, for example, which is rooted in the eastern part of the world. I do want to say, at the end of the day, this is the eastern part of the world that has and gives this spiritual taste to your life.
Yeah.
It could be through religion or any type of
And again, I just want to emphasize
thing.
when you say Eastern is not a geographical
yes,
Eastern, right?
that's right.
You could be anywhere and still practicing the Eastern values. But something you mentioned about the economic side of things, I did a calculation before the war, right? Before the war started in June, before the June war even, where it was 20 times cheaper to live in Iran than it was in the West.
And this because of sanctions, isn't it?
No. Hang on. Usually the sanctions, what they would do is they would make things more expensive. Right?
Yes.
It would be more expensive. Sorry, it's actually 40. Sorry, I said 20. It's 40 times more expensive to live in the West.
Yes.
Now, what they say is the answer immediately to that is because they will say, well, the income is higher over there, right?
Yes.
The thing is, the income over there is higher. It's 20 times higher than here, but it's 40 times more expensive.
Yes.
That was before the war. Yes. Now, if you have a look at what's happening, yes, the income here is lower, but we're paying, and I'm going to talk in American terms here, we're paying 12 cents per gallon, which is 3.785 liters, right? We're paying about 12 cents per gallon of petrol here. They're paying at the moment, after the war, $6 and rising per gallon. Now, I don't know how many times more they get paid over there. It's cheaper to live. And so even from a materialistic point of view, it turns out that it's better to live here.
And the conditions we are talking about, 47 years under sanctions, the harshest sanctions, okay? If you put off these sanctions out of the shoulders of the Islamic Republic of Iran, on that time, I think the life conditions will be very, very much better.
I disagree.
After mismanagement.
I disagree.
Mismanagement.
You know why? I came here in 2014.
Okay.
The first thing I did was I decided to make it very comfortable for my wife, okay? The reason why I did that was because we're coming from the West.
Okay.
So we have all those material things that were. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to ensure that my wife was comfortable and everything comfort that she had in the West was available to her here. Guess what I couldn't find?
What?
Nothing. Everything was available. You name it. Whatever we needed, whatever we wanted, it was available. Sanction or no sanction.
All right.
Everything I'm talking about only from a materialistic point of view.
Okay.
Whatever it was that we had in the West, we had here. So when we're talking about sanctions, it's more difficult.
Yes.
Okay. But with the way that the things have been able to be brought here and produced here inside of Iran, have made it available. So everything that we needed was available. There was nothing that we couldn't.
The sanctions themselves turned into a blessing. One, Iran learned how to bypass them, and second, became more independent.
Self-sufficiency, that's right. This is what Shahid Rahbar has emphasized.
And this is ultimately the reason why one reason why the West hates Iran.
Hates Iran and attacks Iran.
Because it practically doesn't need anyone. It can survive on its own.
So, as a Muslim who is living in a non-Islamic land, it could be America, it could be Europe, okay? Now, the whole enemy forces are against an Islamic land. Shall I abide by the norms and the values of the country I'm living in because I pledge allegiance to that? I'm loyal to that in the passports of America. Is it loyalty to America first?
Well, I mean, if you've pledged allegiance, well, Allah
not
says,
on the Donald Trump loyalty to Israel first.
Allah alludes to this in the Quran. He says, "Don't pay allegiance to those who are waging war against you." Now, okay, let's say you're not living in Iran. You're all the way on the other side. But we as Muslims, we see the other Muslim, no matter how close or far they are, as ourselves. Right?
All right.
So if you're paying allegiance to the killers of your, because we're all innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. We are brothers, siblings, and family to each other.
Okay.
If one of us is being killed, it's as if we are being killed. Now, the one thing I like about the resistance in Yemen, whenever their spokesperson, Yahya Sari, whenever he speaks, he says our people. He says not just he's defending for our people and our people in Gaza. This is a huge statement.
Very good.
Now, this is something that we Muslims need to learn from. Be Yemeni.
The concept of Ummah.
In this regard.
That's it. Again, some people say that as a Muslim, you are surrounded by these jurisprudential fiqhi laws of life. So,
The restrictions of the...
yes. Am I allowed, for example, to pay my taxes to a king or a ruler or administration, which is cruel to my own people, my country? What should I do?
Well, that's a difficulty, isn't it? If you're living in those countries and benefiting from the comforts of these countries, why are these countries so comfortable anyway? You know, quote unquote.
Okay.
Why, for example, some of the complaints that I hear from some of the Iranians is because they get free medical over there. They get free, I don't know what, they get free. So a lot of it are not true. Just so you know, one of the comments is, you know, people who go to Australia, they get free housing and free cars and Mercedes Benz, and it's like, that's not true.
Come on, that's not true. Okay.
In terms of the medical system, I've tried both medical systems.
Yes.
Okay, and I can tell you that the medical system here is far cheaper, far more efficient.
Yes.
Than the one that we have, for example, in Australia. I know it's more efficient than America because of the insurance systems they have and the health insurance systems that they have. So Iran has everything in terms of, for example, the medical systems. That's just in answer to the taxes. Why is it so? Right, okay. Why is the vision that is so good? It's because they pay so much taxes. But these taxes are also funding other things, such as wars against our brothers and sisters.
Okay, medical tourism in Iran is one of the most lucrative type of industries. You know that from around the world they migrate to Iran to have operations over here. Stem cells. Infertility.
It's cheaper and it's cheaper. Better.
It's very, very much cheaper. Okay, and based on the national type of domestic knowledge of the Iranians over here, this is what have always been emphasized by our martyred leader, that got to a level that they can come and they can, be taught the science and the knowledge that you have over here, self-sufficiency that he has talked about. Still, so many people don't see such progress and development. They like to migrate to the West. What does West have?
Well, the West promotes itself as the garden, right? So it has everything. But look at everything that it has. Like, if you want to have a good life over there, yeah, you do need to have a good income.
What do you mean by good life? This is really important. I mean, the definition of good life. Give it.
The best way for them, what's a good life? They have, you have economic independence, or you have freedom to be however you want to be. Like, there's no imposed rule or system like that. You can have wife, kids, and they have they have that standard of family, right? But now that standard of family changes.
Okay.
But because they always find themselves. The thing about the West is they always find themselves in a type of rut or a social issue or economic issue, because they don't ground their efforts towards a divine purpose. And this is a word I want to get to.
Okay.
Purpose. Islam gives you purpose to live. Even your death has purpose.
Very good.
Over there, it's all about, they say you only live once. YOLO, in the words of the youth, right? Yeah, that's it. You just have this life. So live, enjoy, and all this stuff.
But even the economic independence that you're speaking about, that's based on a mortgage. First,
exactly,
on credit cards.
Yes.
Secondly, right?
Always indebted.
It's always on debt.
Yes.
They're reaching a stage where now you don't even own things. You lease things, right? You lease your own car. You lease even those things like in the UK. All the cars are leased 3 years, and then you change it and keep changing it. So even the economic independence that you're talking about is based on employment, where you have to earn a certain amount of money to be able to maintain this lifestyle that you have.
Right. Okay.
Otherwise, you're in trouble. Yeah. You're gonna have to sell your house. You're gonna have to, downgrade or whatever it is to be able to afford.
Like right now, for many years, like youth, like who are in their 20s, who are By the way, in American culture, like, by 18, you're out of the house. No matter what your situation is, whether you have enough money, whether you have a job or not, you have to be out of the house. And a lot of these youth, they can't even afford homes. They're always renting. They're jumping from house to house. And a lot of youth, especially college students, are living in cars. And I'm talking about, where do they take a shower? Where do they eat? Like, where's all this stuff? They don't
We
know
know that in Islamic Republic of Iran, we have poor people, but we don't have homeless.
I have not seen a homeless person. I have to say, in all honesty, it's very hard.
It's not homeless.
I've seen people going around in trash cans, for example, collecting recyclables so they can sell and earn a living.
During the recent war,
not homeless
the
people.
Ramadan war, the case was that all these war-stricken people were given residential areas and places by the municipality of Tehran. Okay, they go over there, so you could not see even say reporters from all across the world to come to Iran and say we do not see the wreckage, the rubbles over there. They're cleaned as soon as possible. So what a clean city in Tehran
Even
is.
after the riots.
After the riots, okay. Yes.
And despite the fact that 70,000 to, I think even maybe up to 100,000 households were destroyed, still there were no homeless people.
No homeless people, that's right. So can we say the war against Iran was the war against Islam?
There's no doubt.
No doubt. That's exactly what it is.
No doubt about
it. It all comes down to that.
So how come Iran equals Islam?
How come Iran equals Islam?
I mean,
that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of times when we talk about Iran,
Yes.
it's synonymous to Islam. Really.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're talking about, right?
Is it so in the Western people, or for example, the people,
No.
the Muslims outside Iran, they say Iran, for example, as Islam or Muslim?
Yeah, so some people haven't been able to make that connection yet.
That's right.
Right? They still see the Ayatollahs as the political party that is trying to control everything and all of that. They still haven't been able to make that connection. But if we have a look at just a simple piece of evidence, in the negotiations right now, for example, Iran is insisting that the war ends on all fronts, including and explicitly mentioning Lebanon before negotiations go ahead. Right?
Yes.
Now,
preconditions.
why should it care for Lebanon? Why should Iran care for Lebanon? Because the principles in which Iran is negotiating on is Islamic, Quranic, and Lebanon is our brothers.
We alluded to that, saying like we see our Muslim neighbors as ourselves.
Okay.
That's why we're not just. It's because Iran took the principal stance of standing for Palestinians.
Yes.
And just,
So what happens that so many of the Muslim lands around Islamic Republic of Iran or put their bases, American bases in the countries, they helped America to attack Iran. They helped over there, okay? They are Muslims, but they do not act Islamically. I mean, what type of Islam is this that even cannot attract the countries around itself?
Well, that opens the discussion of normalization that we talk about. You know, when Allah is saying in the Quran, don't make allies with my enemies, right? It's making it very clear. So, I mean, there's one thing to look at the people of these countries other than Iran, and there's one thing to look at their governments, the ones who are running them. Okay. That distinction has to be made. Because the ruler and the ruled are two different categories. Because you may have because the rulers themselves majority of them are puppets, as we've seen. They're paper tiger too. Like they're all fake states. No, so Muslims should not be fooled by their Muslim garb or their Islamic appearances. They're not. They're just only looking at the surface level of that. But look at it. All that normalization has led to what? Silence against Palestine, betrayal of oppressed Muslims. Right? So they do whatever the West says. And they keep pushing for this normalization, just like the UAE.
Yes.
Even in the heat of all this, they still keep pushing it. And so if you understand things at the Quranic level, when Allah is saying this and then you see it, you just put two and two together. It doesn't take like a deep scholar or a genius. You just have to pay attention.
And we invite them, right? We invite the UAE. We invite all those countries.
To bring sense to them in some way.
Come over, talk to us, talk to the Iranians, okay? Talk to the Iranian government, see what they say. And they'll find that the doors are open. That's all it takes. It just takes a phone call. And, a number of countries have made contact with the Iranians, especially with regards to the Strait of Hormuz issue.
That's right.
It's a huge issue. And they're saying, hey, let's work this out. And they are. They're going to work it out. Now, for the UAE, they're a little bit stuck we still invite them.
Yes.
Make the phone call.
Yes.
You'll find that the Iranians are more than willing to be brotherly.
On which strategy do you think is better for these Muslims living in the non-Islamic lands? To be united in one place, I mean, getting back to an ideal Islamic land, for example, Islamic Republic of Iran, or no, just to be, we can say, spread and distributed in different lands as a representative of a true system. So some say that stay in your lands and be a good representative of true Islamic system in those lands. The lands that are, for example, quote unquote, disbelievers, okay? So that you can spread Islam over there or spread true message of Islam over there instead of getting back to the lands. Which one's better?
So if we're talking about Muslims living in the West, and let's say give an example of Muslims living in America, right? If they want to really follow Islam to the T, to the title,
Yes.
it's going to require them to have more of a purpose than just the average life of an average American citizen. You're not there to just salute the flag and call yourself Muslim. So for instance, we have the people, they call themselves American Muslim. So they put America first and then Muslims second. But Allah does not define us that way. He says you are Muslim first, at least. Right? So
There are
in
no
that
borders in
case,
Islam. There's no borders. There's no American.
there's no borders. Like
Australian.
Islam doesn't
New
see
The
this
Zealand,
as
national
Iranian.
identity comes
Yeah,
first. Okay.
like
Absolutely.
you could be a legal citizen of these countries, but ultimately your loyalty and your duty is to Islam. So if your purpose in the West is just to live there and you go to your masajid, you hear a lecture that's more or less nowadays a lullaby
Yes.
that keeps you asleep, that doesn't talk about the political issues that we're dealing with, social political issues that we're dealing with. Like it's not leading to like an actionable approach, because we Muslims are supposed to be the heralds of social justice. The world should be looking at Islam right now, saying, "Oh yeah, people should be saying, look at these Muslims. There should be we should be at the forefront of all these social justice, like protests and everything." But we're not. Some Muslims just kind of follow some other group.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
And so unless you have a purpose for. And, the main thing is when there's a tyrannical system, as a Muslim, if you're in that land, you're at the very least, you're supposed to be against it. Ideologically, even vocally, at the least be vocally against it.
To the point of it being uncomfortable.
It will be uncomfortable. But like if you're saying like, or if you're mincing your words, saying like, I just disagree with the policies, no, but you have to get it to that level where you're talking like one of our prophets, peace be upon them. Where you're now a matter of, and I dare I say it, you're now a matter of national security to those regimes. Yeah, you're gonna have to be like that, and you're gonna have to try to start like helping society reach towards real
I can assure
moral
you,
clarity
somebody
and
who's listening
divinity.
to this now will say, "What about taqiyya?"
Now, see, taqiyya has its levels, right? Sometimes like, oh, let me because like, people haven't measured this, right? They're like, okay, there's to one degree, yeah, you're hiding yourself to protect yourself. That's one thing, but there comes to a point where you have to draw the line between being genuine in that and not being a hypocrite too, because like they say do taqiyya, but they're now in the American government. They're a Muslim. They salute the flag. They support the Israel. Like, come on, that's not taqiyya anymore. That's straight up betrayal.
All right. And why not doing taqiyya in the other, aspects of the life? I mean, the social life. I mean, in terms of, so when you're living your safe, secure mode of life, on that time you think about, can I find a religious justification for that? Let's go and search the books and the papers, the Holy Quran say this, the Ahadith, okay? And then I find something, for example, Imam al-Raza alayhi salam says that, okay, do not sacrifice your life for your, I don't know, officials or something like that. Or if you think that you lose your life, do not say be silent. So I do want to say, but now everything is apparently clear that who is who in the world. I mean, who is the tier one and who is the oppressed one. Some non-Muslims are acting better than the Muslims in the Western world. Is it because, now the hard question is this, is it because they did not taste living in the Eastern part of the world? I mean, they have enjoyed all these, I mean, comfortable, cozy type of lifestyle, and now they're talking in admiration of the, for example, resistance movement. If they were living over here, they would not say such a thing.
Look, there's just 2 points that I want to make here. Firstly, these people who are fighting for justice and resisting the oppression, some of them are non-Muslims.
Yes.
As you mentioned, some non-Muslims are, they go up to the graduation ceremony, for example, hold up the Palestinian flag, and all of the years of their hard work, their bachelor's, their doctorates, whatever it may be, gets stripped from them because they did that. They knew that this was going to happen.
Okay.
So they sacrificed all of these years of work, right? Because they wanted to stand up for what was right. Now, these people have pure hearts.
Very good.
Okay? These people have pure hearts. Why don't we see Muslims do that? Because they're scared. Because they're scared they're going to lose the comfort that they're living in. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are like that. There are people who are Muslim who do that. But the point that Sayyid made, which was absolutely correct, is that all of the Muslims need to be doing this. You can't be living there comfortably. Now, some of the justifications that you mentioned was to find a narration, and there is a narration about from, I think his name is Hamid Samandari or something. He asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, some people say that when I travel to these Darul Kufr, these polytheist lands, and if I die there, I'm going to be dying amongst the mushrikeen. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, when you go there, do you preach our teachings? He says, yes. He says, when you come here, do you do so? He says, no. Because if you go there and you die and you travel there, he was traveling there. This is the important key, the visit. If you go there and you die, you will be raised up as an ummah of yourself. In other words, remain Muslim.
Yes.
The point here is what? This is about as strong a narration you can find to justify living in these places. There is no single ayah, and I've challenged people for about 8 to 10 years now, scholars, anyone, to give me an ayah from the Holy Quran or a narration, no matter how weak it is, that says leave Darul Islam, an Islamic country, for Darul Kufr, a polytheistic country, so that, for example, you can establish Islam over there.
Okay. Sayyid, how do you answer this question? Islam and religions are not limited to a specific land.
It's not.
So if it is not so, and the Muslims and the true Islam can reach anywhere, why not migrating to, for example, the non-Islamic land and preach Islam over there? And then at the time of the wars...
But these are two different questions you're asking.
Okay.
Is a religion limited to, for example, a particular place? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Okay, we've established that.
Okay.
So in other words, we can have the Republic Islamic of the United States of America, for example. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem.
No. I mean, officially speaking, no. I mean, in terms of the personal choice, you can make your travel and migrate to a non-Islamic land like America, like Europe, okay? And still be committed by Islam as a personal, individual type of religion. I'm distinguishing between two things, the collective social aspect of Islam and the personal, individual aspect as a personal choice in your life. Personally, you can do your salat, you can do your Sam, you can do your Hajj pilgrimage, even you can have your ziyarah to the holy shrines as a Shia and call yourself a Muslim and say, I am living my Islamic land. But collectively speaking, say, that's not my duty, that's not my responsibility.
Well, looking at it from the Quranic perspective, is Surah Fatiha, all Muslims are reciting every day, up to 17 times a day, right?
Okay.
We say, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. You alone, Allah, we conform to, and you alone do we ask for help.
Yes.
What's the key word here? We. The word we is used here.
Okay.
We, no matter, even if a Muslim is reciting this ayah in solitude, he's still seeing himself in that collective. So his personal choice is tied to a bigger, bigger community, no matter what. So like this whole thing about personalizing deen is also a toxic trait that does happen in the West when it comes to Muslims. They start adopting that centralistic identity. Like, yeah, I'm a Muslim, but I don't pray. I have anything to do with zakat. And
now still they do zakat, they do pray, but say,
let's say they do
in terms
all that,
of this socially speaking, or I don't know, making my how can I say, a position against this and that, that's not my duty.
But in nature, when Allah created us, insan,
Yes.
it's not enough to say we're human. natural, we interact with each other. So one way to define insan, one possible way is to say the social human being. It's how we are. And now Allah created us that way innately.
Okay.
So that's where we have to function that way. So a Muslim who wants to keep to himself, it's not understanding the true
solitude,
core
yes.
values of Islam.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, a religion in solitude. Okay,
Yeah.
but which could be.
But sorry, I just want to add to that with regards to what's being said is for those who want to justify themselves living in those countries,
Yes.
there is no narration, there is no whole ayah of the Holy Quran that says leave the Islamic country to go and migrate there. Your question may be that, well, how is Islam going to spread then?
Okay.
That's not our duty. That's the duty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will protect his religion and make it spread. Okay? Our duty is to follow the Holy Quran and the narrations. What do the narrations say? The narrations say migrate to Darul Islam, to Islamic countries. So there is no justification whatsoever.
Will the Muslims be asked in the hereafter about the decisions they're making?
Yes, on page 94 of the Holy Quran, the standard Holy Quran, it says in the English part
Yes,
of it, those whose souls will be taken out by the angels, they'll be asked, what were you doing? They'll say, we were abased on this earth, right? The angels will reply to them, wasn't the God's earth vast enough for you to migrate? Now, some people will use that to say we can migrate to the Western polytheist lands because that's what the ayah says. The ayah says that the earth of God is vast.
Okay.
That's not what it's saying. It's saying leave the lands of the polytheists where you can't practice your religion.
In
as you
context,
should.
they're under oppression.
And they're oppressing. You're oppressing. Actually, the ayah says, why are these people oppressing themselves? You know, these people who are oppressing themselves continue to live there. The angels say, why are you still there? We're abased. You weren't abased. You have the choice to migrate back to the Islamic lands. You're making the choice to continue to
And
remain
even
there.
like, you know, somebody might think may say like, oh, this is a type of flight or fight situation. No, that flight is not a flight. It's not fleeing. You're not running away. And one way, depending on your intention, is to regroup. Like when our Prophet, peace be upon him, what did he do? He didn't run away from Mecca. They were forced out, right? And it wasn't that they left and they went to Medina, established the first Islamic government and just to stay there. No, the idea was to return, to come back for liberation.
And if the Muslims get to this point that the leaders of their communities are not just enough to trust, so there is no way.
Which community, sorry?
I'm talking about an ideal Islamic land to migrate and come back to.
The leaders of the Islamic
place.
countries?
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what about that side? I mean, are they allowed, for example, to leave their homelands because they don't believe that the leaders or the rulers of their countries are just enough now to get back and trust and live over there? So what would be the difference?
Well, the distinction is here. If it's the matter of leadership, you have to look at the Quran. Like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah says, "Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum." You have to obey Allah, obey His Prophet, and those meritorious leaders. The meritorious is kind of in brackets here, that are entrusted with authority among you. So that leadership, that ulil amr, the ones who have been entrusted with authority, is conditional. If that leadership is not aligned with Allah and His Rasul and His Prophet, then they forfeit or they lose that legitimacy. Then in that case, yeah, I mean, you can just like do what Imam Hussein alayhi salam did at that time. You can stand up and resist against illegitimate rule, or you can leave. It all depends on the situation that you're in.
That's right.
But I mean, for me personally, take the Husseini route.
Say it, Summer. Anything missed?
Well, I think one of the issues is that, according to the Holy Quran, being a munafiq, a hypocrite, is one thing, and being a mushrik is another. They're both going to be in the worst case scenario in hell.
Yes.
Right? Hypocrites and polytheists are
that's right.
very badly sort of going to be punished. That's one thing. The other thing that we need to know is that the hypocrites have this opportunity to repent. A polytheist doesn't. Why? Because he doesn't believe in God.
Okay.
Unless they start to believe it.
Till now, I thought maybe a hypocrite is worse than a mushrik.
Well, a hypocrite knows God.
Okay.
He knows God. He knows of God.
Okay.
He says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
I know, but through
Right.
that knowledge is going to deceive the people more.
He's going to deceive the
Okay.
people. But there is the ayat of the Quran says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا وَأَصْلَحُوا. If they repent, there is an opportunity for them. So from the Holy Quran, it seems that it would be better to live under a system that is Islamic, even if there are munafiqeen. Why? Even if there are hypocrites. Why? Because they are closer to repenting. They're closer to repenting than the polytheist. The polytheist is going to continue to say, "Ana rabbukum al-a'la."
This is where I'm gonna jump in right here. So if they're munafiq, we still cannot permit their legitimate, their
I didn't say
illegitimate rule.
permit. I didn't say.
What I'm just saying is, it must be noted here that we have to stand against them at any point. Yes, they could be munafiq, and a lot of times especially when it comes more in the open, that's who they are, because of munafiq is
But
what?
when you stand against the hypocrites, you have a basis to stand against them with. An ayah of the Quran, a tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? When you stand against an oppressive, tyrannical polytheist, what basis are you going to stand against him? There's nothing. Which one has more of a chance of being corrected?
Possibly munafiq. This is where we agree.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Said Hadi, Said Summer.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice
very much.
elaboration about this duel. Still, there is a part called the diaspora of the Iranians living
We can
outside.
get to that.
It needs a separate discussion. Okay, so what happens that the so-called national identity is preferred over the national, religious identity. Okay, this is what happened to this diaspora outside the realms of the Islamic and the borders of Islamic Republic of Iran. I think that this case is true about the other nationalities too. Okay, it could be Iraqis, it could be Chinese, so that they lose their the norms and the values which were born with, they were grown up with, all of a sudden leave it for a so-called utopian land of the Western world. So it needs another separate discussion, another hard question. Thank you very much, Said Summer, Said Hadi, and thank you very much, dear viewers, for watching Hard Question with me, Atta, the host of this program. Till another episode, another hard question. Goodbye, take care.